Right, hello then everybody, welcome back to The Golden Sky. Today it is Saturday the 30th of August 2025. I'm Tom, and if you're joining me here today on YouTube, thank you very much for joining me. And I will say as well, we're talking last time I uploaded a video about can we get to 50 subscribers by the end of the weekend. Well, you absolutely smashed it before the weekend's even started. 60 subscribers as I start recording this video. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody for showing support on the channel and the last video especially. Really appreciate it. And let's keep it going. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Match preview today, so Liverpool v Arsenal. We're going to talk through all you need to know about this preview. We're going to look at some clips. We're going to do something on the tactics board. You guys seem to like that type of thing, so I'm going to keep it going. But we're going to just chat as well about the two sides and what I think about the game. So drop a like on the video, comment away, subscribe to the channel. I guess the next goal is 100. How fast can we get to 100? Help me out and subscribe, and let's get to 100 subscribers. And if you're listening on the podcast as well, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys just as much as the YouTube viewers, of course. 5-star rating and reviews. Thank you very much for listening. So yes, today everybody, it is the match preview. Liverpool hosting Arsenal. It is the big one. Like I said, we're going to get into everything. But before we do that, I've got a few things I want to get off my chest. Right. So, first one, it will be about Liverpool and Arsenal. I've got to vent this to you guys. You know, you're my outsource now. You listen to me. So here we go. Yeah. Why is everybody in the world talking about Liverpool and Arsenal in a minute? They talk as though Arsenal are the second coming of Jesus Christ, right? Because they beat Leeds 5-0 at home, okay? With 2 set-piece goals, by the way, and a penalty in the last minute. A promoted team. Literally everyone I've heard talk about this fixture this week has been giving Lego Head the most praise I've ever seen in my life for this. Just a week prior, they were saying Arsenal was so bad against United. Now, we all know what happened to United. Massive cup upset this week, you know. Grimsby only beat them on pens. It's a massive upset, you know. Big side like Grimsby beating lowly Man United on pens. Couldn't believe it. Thought they'd easily wrap that up in normal time. But there we go. And they beat United 1-0 and everyone's like, oh, Arsenal looking poor. And then they beat Leeds and everyone's like, they're going to win the league. They're amazing, this team. Absolutely amazing. They've got the best defence, best midfield, best attack. It's mad. And everyone's talking about Liverpool. Liverpool have won both games of the season so far. Okay, beat Bournemouth, beat Newcastle. Okay, haven't played maybe to our top level. Newcastle game was tough. But we win them both. And everyone's like, in the media I'm talking, everyone's heads have fallen off. Honestly, it's like, Liverpool. They're not at it this year. They can't defend their shit. They can't do it. I've got to get that off my chest. And just everyone settle down. Okay, this is just silly to be so. The scales are just so imbalanced right now. I feel like it's really weird. Second thing, okay, now we talk about football all the time on here, but I'm going to let you in on something else. So I do have another job. Obviously, this isn't my full-time job. I do actually work, and I'm moving team at work, right? So yesterday, Friday, was my last day. So I thought, I'll be nice. I'll bring in some donuts. I'll bring in some treats for everybody. Some jam donuts, some yum-yums. I've never had a yum-yum. It's like a donut, but without filling, and it's long, like this. Yeah, really good. Go and get yourself a yum-yum. Custard donuts, and I bought a Swiss roll as well, because why not? Okay, so I've just brought some treats in. And one fella at work, there wasn't that many people in, and one fella yesterday helped himself. He had 2 jam donuts, yeah, he had a yum-yum, and he had basically half my Swiss roll on his own. Now, listen, this is fine. Eat what I brought in. That's sound by me. But come on, what are we doing here? I'm not, leave some for someone else. 2 jam donuts, and he had them by 10 a.m. as well. Them things were gone. I couldn't believe it. So I wanted to get that off my chest. I don't think that's appropriate donut eating etiquette, but there we go. So that's that. Should we get into the football? Let's get into the football. So we'll start with Liverpool, as they're the home team, and this is the Liverpool. Liverpool are the focus of this channel as well. And the predicted team, I'm going to predict the exact same team I predicted against Newcastle because I didn't know Alexis McAllister was having a baby of some. Well, his partner's having a baby. He didn't birth the baby, of course, but there we go. So predicted 11, Alisson in the goal. I predict Szoboszlai starts at right back again after his amazing performance, and we'll talk a little bit about him in a second. I think Konate keeps his place at centre back with Van Dijk and Kirkes, Gravenberch, McAllister, and Wirtz in the middle, with Mo Salah, Hugo Ekitike, and Cody Gakpo pretty much picking themselves up front at this point. So I predict that's the team. So that'll be one change, with McAllister in for Jones. And yeah, I think the biggest point there is that I'm predicting Szoboszlai to keep his place at right back. And I mean, the reason why is because I don't think we can afford to take him out of the team at the minute. I think he's been our best player over the first 2 games. You could maybe say that Ekitike has rivaled him, or even Van Dijk, to be honest. Both been excellent. But I think it's pretty clear Szoboszlai has been, for me, the best player of the first 2 games. I think he really willed us to victory against Bournemouth. And the Newcastle performance was his best probably ever for us. So I think he keeps his place. I know he's right back on the team sheet, but we saw against Newcastle how we used him to invert into the middle, and I think we might do something similar here, given Arsenal's sort of, I don't know, their sort of power in the middle of the pitch. It's not the same as it is Newcastle's. They have a bit more guile about them, a bit more creativity in the middle, but I think to give us that advantage, especially as Arsenal drop back and defend, to keep us on the ball, I think Szoboszlai keeps his place at right back. Because we need him on the pitch, and I think he'll want to play. He's going to play Gravenberch, and he's going to play Wirtz. So I think McAllister's the one who might make way if Conor Bradley starts at right back, but I don't think he will. I think he's going to play Szoboszlai. Yeah, I mean, just a few stats about Szoboszlai this season so far. It's only 2 games, but he's got the most tackles per 90 for Liverpool, 2.5 tackles per game. Kirkes is second with 1.8, so you see he's nearly a full tackle per game better than our next best player in that regard. And he's also got the second most passes completed per 90 with 53. And I think Van Dijk's the only one ahead of him with about 58. And all Van Dijk does is, all Van Dijk does. Van Dijk plays those diags, of course, but a lot of Van Dijk's passes are easy around the back. So I think it shows the influence Szoboszlai's having. He's really, really maturing, I think, for us and becoming a bigger influence on our games, which is great. That's what we want. So I think he's got to be in the team. And I think Kirkes keeps his place at left back as well on the other side. I mean, I've seen a few people saying, "Oh, should we play Robbo?" I think people are really overreacting about Kirkes these first 2 games. I mean, we'll talk about it a bit later on, more maybe, when we do some sort of general thoughts on Liverpool's opening fixtures. But I don't think you can take him out of the team. I don't think he's been bad, first of all. I think he's had a few moments where he's looked a bit, I don't want to say nervy, probably shaky is a better word. But if you take him out of the team, it just depletes his confidence, and it's not what you need when you sign a new player, especially considering he's only 21. And Robbo, are we forgetting we signed this left back because last season Robbo was a walking disaster most of the time. So for me, that's the team. This will be the first time that Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and McAllister will have played together alongside Wirtz. Obviously, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and McAllister was our main midfield last year, but first time they'll have all been on the pitch to start with Wirtz. I think that's huge for our sort of control of the game. Look, this is a massive game, right? It's early in the season, but it's a massive game. Not in the sense that Newcastle was a massive game, where there was a lot riding on it, external factors adding into the atmosphere of the game. This one more just a football, the aspirations of both sides, to get that early bragging rights to really stamp authority on the league before the international break. This is a big game, and I think having those 4 who are all excellent on the ball, a lot of legs there, a lot of legs actually. McAllister the worst of the 4 in terms of running, but not he gets around the pitch. He's combative and he puts tackles in. So not only is it used for that control, but I think it's going to help us when we're out of possession. We've had 61% possession so far in the opening 2 games, which is higher than our average last year, which might have been helped due to the red card against Newcastle, of course, but we didn't actually have that much possession. Maybe in play as we would have liked in that second half, especially. And I think Arsenal, you might think Arsenal, they're a big side, they're going to come to play. When they're away from home, they're happy to give up the ball. Of course, they like to get on it, but they're happy to give it up and sit back and absorb some pressure. And later on in the video, we're going to go to the board and we're going to look at how I think Arsenal will set up, especially when we do have the ball. So we'll see how that goes. There's also, for Liverpool, I would say there's a massive spotlight on Ibrahim Konate. There just is. We need to see an improvement from those first 2 games. I mean, playing against Arsenal, as soon as you think of Arsenal, what do you think of? If you didn't say set pieces, then you're wrong, because that's Arsenal's absolute bread and butter. It has been for a few years now, especially last year, and it looks the same this year. And we're going to need, it's just a fact, we're going to need Konate to be ready and more like himself last year than his start to the season this year, if we're going to be able to deal with those set pieces. As good as Van Dijk is, and he is really good, he can't defend everything on his own, and he needs his partner next to him to help him out, especially against this crafty, I say crafty, they just cheat, they just foul and do weird stuff from corners. We're going to look at Arsenal's corners later as well. We've got some clips of those, and we'll look on the board as well at how we set up. So if you want to see that, it's coming up. We need United to be better. It's going to be against Enquiries, and we'll do key battles in a second as well. I think that's going to be one of them. But another one on the other side of the pitch, I think Ekitike, I mean, he's had a brilliant start to his Liverpool career. As good as it could have been, really, let's be honest. 3 goals in 3 games. Basically 3 goals from pretty much 3 chances. He's had maybe a couple that he could have scored, but he's mostly tucked everything away. There hasn't been one where he's missed and it's been like, oh, he really should have scored that. So brilliant start. But this is a massive game for him because he's against what most people consider the strongest centre-back pairing in the league. So it's a big ask for him. Can he sort of trouble them? Can he trouble Saliba and Gabriel? Can he give them issues? Arsenal, they defend as a unit, but those 2 centre-backs are both individually brilliant as well. So can he get chances? He's generated 0.79 expected goals per 90 so far this season. That's extremely impressive. I think Haaland is basically the only striker in the world who consistently gets more than that. And most of the time, he's actually above 1. He's an XG machine, Haaland, and that basically means he's just on the end of every chance for City. But he's like off the charts. To have 0.7, let's call it 0.8 XG per 90, that means he's pretty much averaging just under an expected 1 goal per game, which is massive. And if you can slightly outperform that, you're scoring a goal a game, and that's unbelievable. So really good numbers. To give it a bit more context, our next best so far this season is 0.13 XG, and that's Salah. And when you think of chances Salah's had this year, it isn't many. So Ekitike is really hogging the brunt of our chances so far. Really, everything seems to be falling to him. And that, to me, indicates that there's going to be a game, and it might be this one, where chances fall for loads of other players. Could it be Salah? Could it be Wirtz? Could it be Gakpo? I mean, I know Gakpo scored, but he's also quite low on that list. I feel like, the load has got to be shared out at a certain point, and I think it could be this game. And generally, my thoughts on Liverpool through the opening 2 games. So, I mean, I was listening to the overlap this week. Don't know if any of you listened to that. It's with, you probably do. It's Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Jill Scott, and Ian Wright. And they talk about what's happened in the week. And this week they did a lot on Liverpool and Arsenal. And like I said at the start of the video, they were really critical, especially Carragher, about Liverpool. I mean, he said, like, look, it's great they've won and stuff, but he was really critical of our performance. He said he didn't like us being labelled the entertainers of the season. Like, our games are super entertaining. Criticised how we defend. I just think he was a bit harsh, really. I mean, when you look at it, like, Bournemouth are a good side. Like, they are a good team. There's just no 2 ways about it. Iraola's a brilliant coach. They have good players. They're a good side. They're really intense. And the same can be said about Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle, okay, they don't have Isak at the minute. Fingers crossed that one gets done, actually, today, hopefully. A bid, maybe, by the time I'm recording. Who knows? Newcastle and Bournemouth are two of the most intense sides in the league, and Newcastle, like I was saying, without even without Isak, they have an amazing side, like a brilliant side, and they're in the Champions League. They're going to be challenging for the Champions League again this year. And I think to go to St James's and win is a really good result. And then you factor in all the other circumstances that we had going into that fixture. With how up for it Newcastle were, and okay, that played into our hands with the red card. But no Big Six team won at St James's last year. Not a single one. And that's the traditional Big Six, which is Arsenal, us, United, City, Spurs, and Chelsea, obviously. So no one won there last year of those teams. And Liverpool have gone there and we've won. And I think that's the most important thing at the start of the season. People are forgetting, look, we've got 4 new signings playing in our team against Bournemouth. Frimpong, Kirkes, Verts, and Ekatike. Okay, and then we had 3 of them against Newcastle with a centre midfielder playing right back for the first time ever in his life. Okay, our team is pretty much, our outfield players are half different from last year. Like, it's a massive adjustment for Liverpool, and for people just wanting us to, what do you want us to beat Newcastle 4-0 or Bournemouth? Okay, we shouldn't have conceded the 2 goals maybe against Newcastle with the 10 men, but they're both from set pieces. We shouldn't have conceded maybe the 2 goals against Bournemouth. Okay, they were poor goals to give away. I'll concede that. They weren't great. But it's the first game of the season. Bournemouth are excellent counter-attacking team. I'm not saying Liverpool have been perfect. I just think the criticism that's coming our way from these pundits, I mean, especially Carragher, considering we've actually won both games of the season, we're actually getting criticised more than teams who haven't. Man City lost to Spurs, and yeah, all they talked about was how great Spurs were, and Spurs were great. But if I was watching that game and I'm a City fan, there was a lot of worrying signs that were there last year as well, and they didn't face hardly any criticism really from those guys. So I think people have an expectation on Liverpool to be like put this perfect team, and it's not going to be the case straight away. So they're my general thoughts. I think Kirk, like I said, like Kanate's got a lot of criticism, and I think rightly so. He's been really bad. There's been murmurs about Kirk and him having like a nervous start, and like I said, people saying, "Oh, maybe Robbo should come in for this one." I think it's bollocks, to be honest, guys. I really do. Like, Kirk has faced Semenyo, who's Bournemouth's best player and the absolute focal point of their attack, and a really genuinely good winger, like a tough winger to play against. And then the next game, he plays Elanga, who's one of the fastest players in the league and an absolute focal point for Newcastle's new attack. He's electric, and I thought he did all right against Elanga. I thought he struggled a little against Semenyo, but you have to remember it's his first game. It's his old club. There's all these different things riding on it. He's probably nervous, and he's only 21 years old. I think he's had a really difficult start. Like, he makes the mistake against Newcastle for the goal, where he doesn't jump. But I don't think he's been disastrous by any means. Like, I don't think he's made necessarily errors that have been like, oh my god, what is he doing, this guy? I think on the ball and everything like that, he's actually been good. He's made some tackles, like I said. So a bit confused by why people I think just want everything at Liverpool to be like, we win 3-0 every match. It's not going to be the case. It's just not possible. Our attack's been absolutely fantastic. We've scored 4 goals and 3 goals. I mean, 3 at St James's is great, and then 4. At home to Bournemouth. 4 goals in any game is good. But we need time to bed in these new signings, and also the first game of the season we didn't even have Gravenberch, who played every single game last year for us in the Prem, basically. So I think people need to settle down a little about Liverpool. And for me, playing Arsenal here, this is the type of game where, like, we actually come out and we play our best performance. I know that sounds kind of weird because it's Arsenal and they're really good, but that's just how it goes sometimes. So we'll see. But we'll get into Arsenal. We'll talk a little bit about them. So predicted team for them, I think they'll play Raya in the net with Timber at right back. Ben White is a doubt, and Timber obviously played last week, scored twice. I actually think they prefer him to Ben White at right back anyway. Saliba and Gabriel will play centre back, and I think they'll stick with Calafiori at left back. Don't think it'll be Lewis Skelly. I think last season he struggled against Salah a few times. Calafiori started the season well, so I think he will play. I do think they'll play Odegaard in midfield. I do think they'll play him, even though he hasn't trained this week. Arteta, Lego Ed just loves him to death. I think he'll play. Also, Lego Ed loves to pretend that his players are injured when he plays Liverpool. Have you ever noticed that? Whenever they're about to play us, half his team's apparently injured, and then they all play. Except I think this time Saka actually won't play. So Odegaard, I think, will play with Zubamendi and Rice. I think they'll go with Madueke on that right wing, and then they'll have Gyökeres. And on the left, I think they'll play Martinelli. Trossard is a doubt as well, so I think they'll go with Martinelli, even though he didn't play a minute against Leeds. He did get dropped there. So I think the key talking point there's two really. And the first is that Saka is not in the team. I mean, that's huge for Liverpool. It's absolutely massive. He usually cooks us, doesn't he? I mean, especially when Robbo's been playing, he usually destroys Robbo, and he always seems to score. I think it's massive for us. And another thing that it does, it takes away his corners. This is actually genuinely a key talking point for Liverpool. Arsenal like to take in-swinging corners all the time, and not having Saka take the corners from that one side of his left foot, it's actually a big plus for us. Genuinely, it is. They've got Madueke, who's left-footed. Will he take them? Like maybe, or will he just go with an outswinger? It's different. Like Saka's delivery is brilliant, so that's huge. And Odegaard, like I said, I think he'll play, even though he's not trained all week, unless they train today. I don't know. Arteta in the presser said he hadn't trained. So the other talking point is Eberechi Eze, obviously signed for Arsenal last week after almost going to Spurs, and he's signed for them now. I don't think he starts, personally. I think they'll put him on the bench. I could be wrong. They could start him on that left wing instead of Martinelli. Definitely, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. And they could start him in midfield if Odegaard isn't ready. But I don't know. I don't think they'll start him. If I had to put money on it, I would say he's on the bench. And then if so, the question is, how long will he play? So will he come on at half time, maybe with half an hour to go? What will the scoreline be? He's damaged us in the past at Anfield too. He's scored goals for Crystal Palace at Anfield. He's a great player. And also, like, listen, Eze's a great player, but people, again, are talking about this signing. Like, Eze is like, I don't even know, like they've signed Zidane or something, and it's like, oh my God, how will Liverpool cope with Eze? Eze is great, right? But, I mean, seriously, come on. What are we doing? He's a good player, sure. But the way he's getting talked about is like, it's over the top. People, Arsenal just have like this incredible, like, ability in the media to just be like the most positively talked about team, no matter what's happening to them. It's incredible, really. It really is. Like Max Dowman. Okay, this kid is 15 years old, yeah, and he is amazing. He looks so good, and he's getting a lot of buzz. But I saw Ian Wright was saying on the overlap, do you think he's going to bring him on at Anfield? Maybe he does, but that, like, give the guy a second to play a bit of football. But yeah, maybe he will come on, and I don't think he will unless I don't know, unless the scoreline allows for it, and I think that would mean Arsenal are winning by a few goals. I can't see Dalman coming on, but he is a great player, a really good player. He's getting a lot of buzz. But how many Premier League goals does he have? 0. And how many does Rio and Gamoa have? In the same amount of appearances? 1. So I know who I'd rather have. But that's another thing. Arsenal yet to concede a goal this season. They've played United, who are absolutely shit, and they've played Leeds, who were good against Everton, but away from home is a different story. So yet to concede a goal, though. They had the best defence last year. And away from home, they only actually conceded 17 goals last year. So obviously, 19 games, 17 goals conceded. It's really, really good. They are really good away from home. And that's because of how they set up. They are much more pragmatic away from home. They are not afraid to be pragmatic. And I think they'll do that in our game. We'll look at that in a minute. But set pieces, as we know, are basically the biggest factor for Arsenal. Gary Neville said he reckons Arsenal are going to score 2 set pieces against us here. 2. Now, listen, I know Neville is a United fan, and so he watches United defend set pieces every week and watches Onana and Bayindir in the net flapping at the ball. Like, but I don't know. I don't know if that translates to Liverpool. Like, we're not look great on set pieces. Sure, we concede against Newcastle, but that was an absolute barrage of set pieces. It was like set piece after set piece after set piece. And Arsenal are brilliant at them, we know that. And they very much could score a set piece. But Liverpool will be aware of this, absolutely. And there'll be a big emphasis on it this week. So it's going to be key. They have 3 corner goals already this year and 1 penalty. So 4 goals from set pieces of the 6 they've scored so far this season for Arsenal. The corners are a massive issue. And if we give up corners from what would be our left-hand side of the pitch, where Rice can whip them in, that's a danger. We'll look at those later and how both teams set up. So generally, my thoughts on Arsenal through the first 2 games. Like I said, they're getting a lot of hype because of their win versus Leeds. But listen, they've spent £300 million this season, Arsenal, and they've sold... Who? Honestly, they've Arsenal's biggest sale ever. If you can get this in 5 seconds, who's Arsenal's biggest sale ever? Still to this day. If your guess was Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain to Liverpool for around 40 million, you're correct. And that's wild. Think of that. 40 million is their best ever sale. They're crap at selling. And they spent 300 million. They should be smashing Leeds at home, which they did. Fair enough. And then obviously, a big talking point is Gyökeres. I mean, this is so funny. Again, Sky, right, love Gyökeres. They love him at the minute. And this is, again, part of this thing. Arsenal, they just get talked about like they're like the best team ever. They really do. Because this fella arrives against United, he was absolutely rubbish. I don't care what anyone says. He was terrible. And he looked terrible as well. And then against Leeds, he scores a good goal. It was a good goal. He also missed a chance, like, awfully. That's got washed over because he scored 2 goals. One of them was a penalty. He's great at pens. He's absolutely great at pens. There's no doubt about that. But he looks clumsy. He's not aesthetic on the ball. That doesn't matter if he scores goals. I'm not saying he has to look nice or whatever. But when I watch him, and I don't want to be too quick to judge him, especially because he's playing us this week. But Sky just love him so much. It's just really funny how they do this. And Arsenal generally poor against United, and they did get the win. So, you know, we're saying Liverpool were poor and got the win, and it's good. You got to say the same about Arsenal, that they're here. 6 goals scored, none conceded. They've had a great start to the season. So let's see how they rock up at Anfield. But the key battles of this one, I mean, it's Konate against Gyökeres, and it's Ekitike versus Saliba, really, isn't it? I mean, Saliba and Gabriel, I suppose, they're more of a partnership. Liverpool more, Van Dijk doing all the work. So Konate really needs to have a big game. Gyökeres is going to run in that channel. He's going to do it over and over again. So we need Konate to use his strength, to use his power. I want him to win some headers, for God's sake. Ibu, jump, win a header. Don't let it slide off your back, please. They're big. I think Ekitike trying to get some joy out of those 2 centre-backs. And he'll have help. It's not just him, obviously, but they're really good centre-backs, and he's going to need to give them a run around. And I think the other one is interesting. I'd say Salah v Calafiori is one to pick out. Calafiori is a centre-back. He isn't a left-back, he's a centre-back. Arsenal play 4 centre-backs on the back 4 because they're Arsenal, and that's what they do. They just love buying defenders. But he's very attacking. He loves to go forward. He's very tall because he's centre-back. He likes to sort of carry the ball. Like, we know Salah doesn't track back, but I think we're at home here. Calafiori has to be more concerned with Salah. And I'm wondering if Salah can maybe give him some trouble. You know, cutting inside. Calafiori, obviously, good going forward and is a good defender as well. But can he get exposed here with Salah's pace and trickery? I'm hoping for a big game from Mo Salah in this one. So yes, that is everything there. Let's go and have a look at some clips from Arsenal's games in the first 2 seasons, especially the corners, and we'll talk through those. So let's get into that. All right then, so here we have Arsenal's first corner of the season, okay, which they scored from, of course. So you couldn't write it, they scored from the first corner, and I put this on because I want to just look at how they set up. They have a few different variations, and they'll probably do something completely different against Liverpool because they'll have been working on it. I don't have any doubt in my mind they'll do a funky set piece against Liverpool. But if they get a corner from this side where Rice can whip the ball in with an in-swinger, it's danger. Because his delivery is, let's call it what it is, it's phenomenal. It's really good. He swings the ball in like this. It's a massive whip on the ball, and it basically lands right there. Every time, it's so pacey and with so much whip on it that it's curling right into the goal. And if no one touched it, the keeper would have to save it. How they line up, so in this one, it's a bit interesting, and we're going to look at another variation they do more often, I would say, than this one. But the idea is they have a player on the goalie here. It's usually Saliba. And his job, his sole job from these corners is to get the keeper, right, and push him this way. That's what he does. He pushes the goalie into the goal. That's what they do. It's a foul most of the time, but this fella here, oh, this is Humpty Dumpty. Would you believe it? He won't give that foul unless Saliba absolutely pushes him in the net. They do it in a clever way. They're very clever, Arsenal. You can see here, they've got Calafiori who actually scores the goal. He's at the back post, and then they've got all these runners here. I mean, not all these are going to go, but the idea is they're all going to converge, obviously, into the. Oh, excuse me. They're all going to converge into the goal where the ball's going to go and put real pressure on the goalkeeper. Now, this is United, who struggle with this kind of thing, so maybe this was a clear tactic. But what happens, we'll see. You can see where the ball lands. I mean, it's here, if you can't see. Bayindir is rubbish in the goal. Like Onana, they've got United, the only team with 2 keepers in the world who have permanently broken wrists, and he just flaps at the ball, and Calafiori knocks it in. But what you see is, look where the ball lands. It's basically in the net already. And look, United have all these players around the ball, okay? And they still can't stop it because the pace the ball comes in at, no one's brave enough to go back and head it out. And then Arsenal have all these players, pushing in towards the goal. And look at Saliba. Saliba is just backing right into Bayindir, pushing him back into the net, but not enough to foul him. They're very clever. That's one example there. Here's the next one against Leeds. So this is the one they do more often than not, this variation, where they have, again, Rice taking an in-swinger. And they like to line up with all these players at the back, okay? Because Leeds, like Liverpool, and we'll look at how Liverpool set up soon, Leeds don't man-to-man mark all over the box. You can see Leeds have got a blocker here. They've got Gnonto trying to block Gabriel running towards the ball. Gabriel is probably Arsenal's best header of the ball. He likes to sort of make runs into the box. They use him as sort of a decoy like this. He's a big threat. But all these players will wait at the back post, okay? And then Rice will take the kick. And again, the ball is going to go like this towards the goalie. And all these players, they basically all just run like this into the box late on. And they take up positions amongst these zonal players. And it makes it really hard to defend. Because, as you see, they come in. And look where they all are now. Rice still hasn't taken the kick. And they've ran. And now they're all causing chaos amongst these players. Look at the body language of all the Leeds players. They're getting ready to defend. But they're all sort of chasing these players. They're not set up ready to deal with it. And the ball comes in. Again, brilliant delivery. This one not quite as onto the keeper's head, but landing right in the 6-yard box. The ball's about here. You can see just below where I put the red mark. Timber gets the head on it, and the ball goes in the back of the net. Tough to defend. It really is. Next one, they score from this one as well. So, again, it's an in-swinger. If Liverpool give up a corner, we want it to be from the side. Rice can't take in-swingers. It's a massive factor in the game. It really is. Again, I've caught this one here where Arsenal are making the move. You can see all these players are running in from the back post. And I'm talking about basically these 4 here. And again, you've got Gabriel, who's running from the penalty spot. He's running towards the goal. It's just a variation of runs. It makes it difficult to mark and to defend. The ball comes into the box. Again, you can see it lands right in the middle. It's here where Timber is heading the ball. He scores again from this corner. Leeds are just not ready to defend. I mean, you look at Leeds' team, they don't really have anybody in this area here who's ready to command the box and head it away. And that's where I'm hoping Liverpool do. And this is why. So this is how Liverpool set up. And this shot that I found of us defending a corner against Newcastle is perfect to show you exactly how Liverpool set up. So what they do, Liverpool have their 3 biggest and best headers of the ball in the most dangerous area of the box. Okay, and this will be no different against Arsenal. So Van Dijk's our best header of the ball. He stands right in the middle, ready to head away anything that comes. And he heads away most of our corners. If the ball goes in the box, it lands here, he usually gets his head to it. We have Ekatike at the front post. He's probably our 3rd best header of the ball, you would like to think. But he's really good in the air. So he stands on the front post. He's the front blocker. This used to be the Firmino role. And then Konate is behind Van Dijk, doing the same kind of thing on the back post. So these 3 here are our best headers of the ball. Newcastle actually doing similar to Arsenal. They've got a player on the keeper. Liverpool aren't concerned with this. We just leave him there. We're not going to put a player on to try and push him away. Whether we'll do that against Arsenal, I don't know, because that's a very clear tactic from Arsenal to push the goalie towards the net. We might use a player to push away. We'll see. But we didn't against Newcastle. And then we have some blockers. So we use our smaller players to block. So that's Wirtz and that's Salah. Usually McAllister will be in this as well. But in this game, we actually use Szoboszlai as a bit of a blocker because we did differently against Newcastle to what we've normally done, because we knew they might float the corners over to Dan Burn, which is exactly what they did. And we used Salah to block, and then Szoboszlai actually ran towards Dan Burn to try and stop him running this way towards the goal. And it worked. We might do something similar here. This is sort of the Gabriel position. I think this is Harvey Barnes. He doesn't actually really make a run towards the ball, but Gabriel will. And then Newcastle, similarly, they've got 10 men here, so there's not that many players in the box. But they have players running from the back post, and that's where Liverpool use the man-to-man markers. So Gakpo man-to-man, you've got Jones man-to-man, and then Gravenberch would also be man-to-man, but he doesn't have a player to mark, given Newcastle's setup and the fact they've only got 10 men. Kirkes goes on the front post. He's small, but he defends that front post in case they underhit any like this, and Kirkes can just head it away. That's how Liverpool set up. We'll look at that on the board later. So, moving away from corners, I wanted to point out some things I noticed about Arsenal early on in the season. So, this is more the bad side of Arsenal. And this is against United, when people were giving United lots of credit. And what I wanted to say is, Arsenal, just like Liverpool, this season, I mean, Arsenal do it more than us, but they go man-to-man on the pitch. Like I said, it's very common now. A lot of teams do this. But they were really bad against United at winning the ball, and they allowed United so often to have what we've seen in Liverpool games. Look at all this space in the middle where United have got on the ball, and Arsenal have not won it, and are under pressure. This ball comes right to Mbeumo. I mean, they've played the pass. It's gone sort of this direction, and then Mbeumo's through. If he had a bit more pace on him, you imagine this is Salah. He's able to get into a really good area here. And this is early on in the game. They gave up this chance. Okay. Similarly here, we've got Dorgu in loads and loads of space. The next time United go down the pitch, look at the space in the middle of the pitch again. It's a transition. Arsenal really, really struggled to defend the transitions against United. And United actually hit the post here on this transition. Zubimendi is a decent player. Like, he's a good player. Let's not get it twisted. Liverpool obviously wanted to sign him last year, but for me, he doesn't have that much legs. And I worry if that's going to be an issue for them against us in this game. I hope it is, honestly. Dorgu has the shot. You see how far he's been able to carry the ball. It nearly goes in. Next one, again, Arsenal pressing the ball, but United are able to get out of the press. You see they've got Cunha on the ball, who's a brilliant carrier, and again, he's able to get into this space that they have. Arsenal very high up the pitch, as you would expect. They're a big team. And Cunha, again, able to carry the ball. And look, he gets through again. Arsenal's susceptible. They could have conceded goals against United. They were lucky not to. And you see why here. But this is the more good of Arsenal against Leeds. They played much better. They were the much superior side. We saw that. And this is the good. So this is actually Enquiries has the ball, and he's about to get tackled by Leeds, so he gets the ball taken away from him. But before he's even had chance to move with the ball, Leeds player, Arsenal have won it back. Rice has counter-pressed. Zubimendi now has the ball. Their counter-press is fantastic, Arsenal, and we'll need to be very, very switched on to deal with that. They have a really, really, really good counter-press. Zubimendi moves the ball to Timber, and in about 2 seconds, this ball is in the back of the net. It goes to Saka, and he hits the ball right in this far corner. It's the quality Saka has on his weaker foot. Madueke does not have the same quality on his weaker foot, so certainly something to look out for. Given that Saka's not playing, how dynamic Arsenal will be. But this is just in to show that the quality Arsenal have turning the ball over. And then here, a new element of Arsenal's play, the Enquiries factor. You see Leeds have this sort of high-ish line. They're not too high here, Leeds. They're sort of in between, being high and being low in the mid-block, you might say. But something Arsenal have now, which they didn't have previously, is Calafiori is just going to knock this ball first time into the channel, and Enquiries is going to run onto it. This is actually his goal. You see, he runs into this channel. He's created all this space, and that's what he's good at. He's good at running. He looks a bit weird when he runs. He runs like he's got, I don't know, he runs like he's got bricks down his pants, but that's just how he runs, and it's effective in this game. He manages to get through. So let's go have a little look at that on the tactics board and see sort of what, how that can sort of shape up and what I think might happen in the game against us. Okay, so what I've done here on the board is I've basically drawn how the teams might set up from corners. Oh, well, how when Arsenal have a corner from the dangerous side where Rice is taking the in-swinger. So you've got Rice taking the corner, you've got our setup, Van Dijk, Ekitike, Konate, Kirkes is on the front post. And then you've got our blockers with McAllister and Wirtz. And I think we'll leave Salah on the edge. We might even leave him up here for counter-attacks ourselves. We've seen Alisson catch the ball and kick it long to Salah. I think Arsenal will leave 2 back, and they put all their defenders in the box. So I think that'll probably be Odegaard and Martinelli. They might leave Madueke back and put Odegaard here. It doesn't really matter. I think that's what they'll do. And then I put the runners of Arsenal's sort of set pieces at this back post, because I think they'll do this one against us, even though they probably try something new as well. You've got Gyökeres, Zubimendi, Timber, and Calafiori, all relatively tall. Zubimendi the smallest one, but Gyökeres and Calafiori with lots of height, and they're going to run across. And I've left these 3 out here, so I was like Gravenberch and Gakpo, just so I can move them into position for you. Be interesting to see what we do. I mean, will Liverpool do something like this? Will they go man-to-man with these 3 players here? Or will they put these players in a more expected position for them to be? Like, will we have someone sort of here? Will we have someone on the goalie? And will we have a player, you know, around the danger area where the ball's going to come in? Will we just completely ignore these 4 players at the back post? It's going to be really interesting. Personally, I think Liverpool might put a player on Saliba, because we'll want to push Saliba away from the goalie and allow Alisson the ability to catch the ball. And also, I think Alisson should fall over. Right? If he feels like Saliba's pushing him, I think he should just fall over. He's much more likely to get the foul, and I hope he does do that. But Rice is obviously going to swing the ball in here, and by the time it comes in, you'll have these 4 players crash in the box like this. It'll look very, very deep, very congested, just like this. I mean, you can see it's an absolute mess on the pitch, but that's how it'll look. Gabriel will also be in there. It's vital that we are able to stand up and defend these corners. So that's corners. Let's have a little look at the next sort of stage of play. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to point out is basically how Gyökeres changes things for Arsenal in terms of build-up. So Liverpool are at home, will want to squeeze Arsenal, especially when they're playing out with Raya, when they give it to the centre-backs. But I'm assuming in this situation that Arsenal have been able to get on the ball and get past our initial press when they'll have the centre-backs here taking the goal kicks. So let's say Gabriel's the spare man, Liverpool pretty much man-to-man everywhere else. Something that Arsenal can do now that they haven't been able to do when they've had Havertz here or Marino is they can actually just kick this ball into this channel. I'm wondering if they'll bring Martinelli sort of narrow, Szoboszlai might follow him, and whether they'll just kick the ball down into these channels and Gyökeres to run after. They're not a long ball side by any means, Arsenal. They like to play. And I think Salah is going to be really interesting because, as we know, he doesn't go back anymore, Salah. So when Gabriel has the ball, you know, Salah might sort of amble over towards him. They'll use Calafiori, and then they might want to get some sort of 1-2 going down here. Maybe Salah comes back, Calafiori comes in, they bounce the ball, And then once it gets here, Calafiori will use his left foot to just hit this ball in behind all Liverpool's space. And this is where Konate is massive. They'll target him, no doubt about it, because you'd be stupid to target Van Dijk. And Gyökeres likes to come into this left channel so he can cut in on his left foot. It's crucial that he has a game like we know he can, where he's so powerful and he just bullies Gyökeres off the ball. His pace is excellent. That's certainly not going to have gone. His recovery runs backwards are great. That's what he's really strong at, and that was why we could play Trent at right back, because he didn't run back very well. So obviously will help, of course, but that's something interesting that I think will be a factor in this game as well. Okay, one more thing I want to talk about is how Arsenal will set up when Liverpool have the ball in settled possession. And I think Arsenal will be more than happy to let Liverpool, like kind of Newcastle did, have the ball along the back four like this. Gyökeres will obviously press and they will jump out like certain times and try and stop Liverpool playing. But I think most of the time they'll be happy to sit in a mid block. This is not a low block where you might expect teams to be like right back in their box like this, especially when we're playing a smaller team at home. What they'll do, they're very narrow, Arsenal. I mean, these four at the back, they're all centre backs, so they're all comfy being narrow. And what I mean is they'll allow the space to be on the wing. They might let Gakpo get out, and then obviously they're going to come out like this and they'll want to funnel him back. But then as soon as they do, they'll jump back narrow and they'll sort of form this mid block where they don't want to go too deep towards their own box, but they're happy to sit and defend. They're not concerned with being the team who has to defend and soak up pressure. They believe they can do that. So I think a lot of the emphasis from us will be if we can sort of quick interchanges in here, and if we do get the ball wide, are we either able to get right to the byline with it, or can Gakpo do the Gakpo special and jink inside, come in like this, and hit this back poster where the ball comes right round to Salah, or vice versa? Can Salah do the same? He comes inside and hits this one to Gakpo. That's just a few little things that I think could be interesting in this game. Let's finish off today with Super 6. Super 6 then, we have these 6 fixtures. Last week we did pretty good, honestly. Again, we got one fixture correctly predicted, but other than that, that was actually United v Fulham. Other than that, we didn't get any. So we got the right results again, but not the right scores. That's been the theme of the first 2 weeks. Let's not mess around. Let's get into this. We've got United, Burnley, and Cara thinks a 1-1. Look, United are awful, but I think they have to beat Burnley, and I think they will. So I'm going to give it 2-1 to United. I do think Burnley will nick one because whoever United play in net will be awful. So I think 2-1 to United, I'm going to say. Spurs Bournemouth is a really interesting one. A lot of people really, really high on Spurs, and rightly so, after their performance in last week's game against City. Bournemouth a good side as well. I think they'll definitely score. How many will Spurs score though? What's the 90% of people think Spurs will win? Ooh. Am I thinking like 2-1 or 2-2? I don't want to go too many 2-1s. I go 3-1. Wolves Everton. Let's see. 2-0 to Everton, says Cara. And popular. Lots of people think Everton will win. Wolves don't have Strand Larson playing, so for me, I struggle to see where they're going to score. But I think they might nick one. I'm going to go 1-1, I think, there. Like the admin. I'm actually copying the admin a bit here. I think 1-1 is right. This one, people think Newcastle 2-0. I think Leeds will score. I'm going to go 2-1 to Newcastle, I think. I think Leeds will score. At home. Do I think Leeds will win? Guys, do I think Leeds will win? I don't know, because I just think of them at home. They were so poor against Arsenal, I can't. I'll go 2-1. Okay, Brighton City. This is a good game. I'm really looking forward to this one at 2 p.m. tomorrow. 3-1 to City, says Cara, and 2-0. Yeah, Brighton been a little poor to start this season. But you've always got to go for a shock, and I think 2-2 here. You've always got to go for something a bit mad in these games. I think 2-2. And Liverpool v Arsenal. So both Cara and the admin saying 2-2 again. What do people think here? See, look, more people think it's going to be a draw than a win for Liverpool or a win for Arsenal. That's interesting. This might be crazy, right? What if I do that? Okay, like there's been so much talk about Liverpool's defense, how good Arsenal have been, blah blah blah. It's the type of game where Liverpool just play really well. I think I've seen this before. Maybe this is my Liverpool bias talking, but I'm going to go 2-0 to Liverpool, and I think we'll win this one. And then golden goal, we always just do 5th minute. Last week, sorry, it was spot on. There we go. What are we saying this week? 1,500. So quite similar to how much of a gamble it was last week with my scores. But there we go. That's Super 6 done and dusted for this week. Will I be a millionaire by the time we do the next video? Alright then everybody, that is it for today's video. Quite a long preview there, so I hope we did enjoy. We talked about everything we possibly could talk about for the Liverpool v Arsenal game. We looked at both teams, we looked at the clips we showed of the set pieces, we looked on the board briefly as well. So I hope you really did enjoy, and if you did, please do let me know. Again, the support on the channel has been amazing. We're at 60 subs at the time of me making this video. I don't know, let's get to 100, so let's push everyone. Please do drop a like on the video, subscribe, let's get it out to more people. Let's get more people on board. Really loving making these videos for you, so I hope you're enjoying watching and listening as well. Hope you enjoy all the football this weekend, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Until next time, which will be the ratings after the Arsenal game on Sunday. So come back after the game for those. They'll be uploaded on Sunday evening, right after the game. Hope you enjoy those. And until then, have a good weekend, and I'll speak to you all very soon.